Warrior, today we're uncovering a truth that every high-value man must confront. The silent habits that strip away respect both from women and, most critically, from yourself. This is not just another self-improvement talk. It's a transformative discussion that could shift your entire mindset and elevate your life. If you're serious about becoming the kind of man who commands unwavering respect, not just through words or appearances, but through unshakable character, then this is your moment. Think of Marcus Aurelius, Seneca, or Epictetus. These Stoic giants didn't seek validation through wealth, status, or flashy displays. They were revered because they mastered themselves, removed weaknesses, and lived intentionally. Today, we're following in their footsteps. Let's get real. The habits we're discussing may seem minor, even trivial, but they are the silent saboteurs of your confidence and self-respect. These are the behaviors that undermine your potential and diminish how others perceive you. Imagine being the kind of man whose presence commands respect without ever needing to demand it. That's what this journey is about. This isn't just a lesson, it's a wake-up call. If you're ready to cut away the habits that are holding you back, to build a foundation of unshakable character, then stick with me until the very end. Your future self will thank you for it. Lack of confidence. Confidence is not a bonus for a high-value man. It's the foundation of who he is. Imagine walking into a room. Your shoulders are squared, your head held high, your steps steady and deliberate. Without speaking a word, your energy announces your worth. Women notice this instantly. Confidence isn't arrogance. It's the quiet, unshakable strength of knowing who you are. It's the kind of self-assurance Marcus Aurelius displayed as he led the Roman Empire with calm conviction, never feeling the need to prove himself. But let's face it, confidence isn't something you're born with. It's forged through discipline and action. Think back to those moments when you pushed through fear, achieved a personal goal, or stood firm in your beliefs. Those were the building blocks of true confidence. A high-value man doesn't rely on external validation. His strength comes from within. As Epictetus taught, a man grounded in his principles is like a ship that remains steady, no matter how rough the seas. Without this inner confidence, a man becomes a slave to the opinions of others. He seeks approval from women, friends, colleagues, essentially handing over his power. And let's be clear, a woman cannot respect a man who doesn't respect himself. Confidence isn't just about success, it's about resilience. It's about owning your flaws, daring to grow, and bouncing back stronger when life knocks you down. So ask yourself, are you cultivating this kind of unshakable confidence, or are you letting self-doubt creep in? Confidence is built moment by moment through your actions, your discipline, and your refusal to give in to fear. Remember, to earn respect from others, you must first build it within yourself. Warrior, the time to act is now. Poor hygiene. Your hygiene isn't just about looking good, it's a reflection of how much you respect yourself. A man who neglects his grooming, appearance, or even his scent is sending a loud message. I don't care about myself. And let me tell you, women notice this immediately. Hygiene isn't optional for a high-value man. It's a non-negotiable standard. Think about it. How can you expect someone to respect you if you don't even respect the body you live in? Maintaining hygiene isn't vanity, it's discipline. When you take the time to groom, shower, and dress with care, you're signaling to the world and to yourself that you hold yourself to a higher standard. Epictetus said, "Know first who you are, and then adorn yourself accordingly." This isn't about expensive clothes or hours in front of the mirror. It's about presenting yourself in a way that aligns with the respect you want to command. Imagine shaking hands with someone who's neatly dressed, smells fresh, and looks polished. Now compare that to someone with an unkempt appearance and poor hygiene. The difference in how you perceive them is instantaneous. The same applies to how women see you. Good hygiene shows that you value yourself, your presence, and the impression you leave on others. But hygiene goes deeper than appearances. It's about routine, self-discipline, and respect for the details. A man who maintains clean habits in his daily life is far more likely to stay disciplined in larger areas, his goals, relationships, and responsibilities. On the other hand, neglecting basic hygiene is a sign of deeper issues, like lack of self-respect or laziness. Let me ask you this. Do your habits reflect the man you want to become? Are you showing up every day as someone who commands respect through his presence? Or are you letting small lapses erode your credibility? Remember, women are drawn to men who hold themselves to high standards, not just in their actions, but in the way they present themselves to the world. Warrior, if you're serious about becoming the best version of yourself, it starts with the basics. Show respect for yourself through your hygiene, and others will follow your lead. This isn't just about smelling good or looking sharp. It's about embodying discipline and self-respect in every aspect of your life. Start today. Women instinctively recognize and deeply respect a man who prioritizes his health, appearance, and overall well-being. Why? Because these are visible signs of self-respect and discipline. Let me ask you something. If you can't take care of yourself, how can you expect anyone else to care for you? Hygiene might seem like a small detail, but it's a powerful signal of your self-worth and the standards you live by. Think of it as a daily commitment, not just to cleanliness, but to presenting yourself as a man of honor and value. When you prioritize hygiene, you're not just caring for your body. You're showcasing a mindset of excellence. And here's the truth. People notice. Women notice. Respect follows naturally when you carry yourself as a man who values himself deeply. Disrespectful behavior. Respect is a mirror of your character, and how you treat others reflects who you are at your core. Disrespect, whether it's belittling words, dismissive actions, or an unwillingness to listen, shines a spotlight on your insecurities and lack of control. Women notice this instantly. No amount of charm, status, or good looks can hide the ugliness of a disrespectful man. A high-value man, on the other hand, lives by respect because he understands it's not just a gesture, it's a principle. Disrespect isn't strength, it's weakness, dressed up as arrogance. When a man puts others down to feel superior, it reveals an inner struggle he hasn't resolved. True strength comes from empathy, self-control, and the discipline to treat everyone with decency, regardless of who they are. Think about Seneca, the Stoic philosopher who said, "The greatest power is to be self-controlled." High-value men don't seek power by disrespecting others. They gain respect by mastering themselves. Let me paint a picture. A man who can disagree without shouting, listen without interrupting, and stand firm without insulting. That's the kind of man who commands respect. But a man who mocks, dismisses, or talks down to others, he's waving a flag of insecurity. If you're constantly trying to prove you're right, you're not leading. You're just feeding your ego. Pause for a moment and reflect. Have you ever dismissed someone's opinion just to feel in control? Or maybe you found yourself belittling someone out of frustration. The truth is, these actions don't make you stronger. They expose your flaws. A high-value man has the courage to face his own insecurities and the wisdom to treat others with dignity, even in conflict. Here's the bottom line. Respect isn't a weakness. It's a superpower. A man who can show respect without compromise is rare, and that rarity is magnetic. Women admire men who stand tall with kindness, who are firm but fair, and who lead with empathy. Respecting others isn't just about them, it's about building your own character. When you master this, respect will flow back to you tenfold. Neediness and clinginess. Nothing repels respect faster than neediness. A high-value man understands this and values his independence, knowing that true strength lies in self-sufficiency. Neediness isn't just unattractive, it's a sign that you're seeking validation, approval, or even a sense of identity outside yourself. Women sense this immediately, and it's an instant red flag. Why? Because neediness reveals insecurity, a lack of self-control, and an inability to stand alone. Imagine constantly texting someone to check where they are, seeking reassurance that they still care, or putting your life on hold to revolve around theirs. That's not love or connection, that's dependence. Women lose respect for men who make them their entire world because it shows a lack of purpose and direction. A high-value man, however, doesn't chase or cling. Instead, he builds himself into the kind of man people are naturally drawn to. Think of it this way. Neediness is like holding a bucket with a hole in the bottom. No matter how much attention or validation you pour in, it's never enough. A high-value man doesn't rely on others to fill his bucket. He repairs the hole by finding fulfillment within himself. As Epictetus said, "No man is free who is not master of himself." True happiness and confidence come from within, not from someone else. When you cling to someone out of fear of losing them, you send a message that you don't feel whole on your own. Women admire men who are strong and stable, who can stand on their own 2 feet. The moment you start asking for constant reassurance or validation, you hand over your power, and with it, their respect. A high-value man doesn't seek happiness through others. Instead, he's driven by his own goals, passions, and purpose. He knows that relationships are meant to enhance his life, not define it. This independence is magnetic. Women are naturally drawn to men who have their own direction, their own mission, and their own peace of mind. Let me be clear, independence isn't about isolation. It's about building a life so full, so vibrant, that others want to be part of it, not because you need them, but because they're inspired by your strength. If you're constantly seeking someone else's approval, take a step back. Focus on your goals, embrace solitude, and build the life you want. When you stop needing constant validation and start living with purpose, you'll notice a shift. Women will respect you more because you respect yourself. They'll admire your self-assurance and independence, and they'll naturally want to be part of your world. Warrior, the power is in your hands. Stop clinging, start building, and watch how respect and admiration follow. Lying, dishonesty, and unfaithfulness. A man's word is more than just a promise. It's the foundation of his character and the essence of his integrity. When you lie, when you're dishonest, or when you betray someone's trust through unfaithfulness, you aren't just deceiving others, you're betraying yourself. Every lie chips away at your honor, leaving cracks in the foundation of who you claim to be. Let's be clear, lying is not clever, and dishonesty isn't strength, it's cowardice. It's an admission that you lack the courage to face the truth or stand firm in your values. High-value men don't rely on deception because they understand that integrity is non-negotiable. Truth isn't just a virtue, it's a shield, a reflection of the inner strength that sets you apart. Women, in particular, are incredibly perceptive. They can sense dishonesty almost immediately, and once they do, the respect they once had for you will evaporate faster than you can imagine. Why? Because lying signals weakness. It shows that you're willing to compromise your values for temporary convenience. Take inspiration from Marcus Aurelius, the Roman emperor and Stoic philosopher, who ruled with unwavering integrity. He once wrote, "If it is not right, do not do it. If it is not true, do not say it." These words aren't just philosophical musings, they're a blueprint for living with honor. A man who stands by the truth, no matter the cost, demonstrates courage, self-discipline, and wisdom. Think about it. When you twist the truth to avoid consequences, you're not fooling anyone. You're showing that you lack the discipline to face reality and the principles to live authentically. Lying, or being unfaithful, doesn't just break trust. It reveals a fundamental weakness in your character. It's a sign that you're ruled by impulses instead of principles, by fear instead of honor. Women respect men who are consistent, genuine, and accountable, even when the truth is hard to admit. Trust, once broken, is one of the hardest things to rebuild. And without trust, respect cannot exist. Unfaithfulness isn't just a betrayal of her, it's a betrayal of your own self-worth. It shows that fleeting desires hold more value to you than the strength of your character. High-value men don't need to seek validation through lies or disloyalty. They stay true to their word and their commitments because they understand that their reputation and honor are priceless. Be the man who chooses the harder path, the path of truth and integrity. When you're honest, you're not just proving yourself trustworthy to others, you're proving it to yourself. Women will notice and respect a man who lives authentically, who has the strength to remain faithful, and who stands tall in his values. Warrior, remember this: a man who walks with integrity walks with power, anger, and aggression. Let's address a truth that many overlook. Uncontrolled anger and aggression are not signs of strength, they're evidence of weakness. When you let anger dictate your actions, you're giving away your power. Women notice this immediately. And trust me, it's one of the fastest ways to lose respect. No one admires a man who erupts in rage or lashes out impulsively. Emotional outbursts aren't a display of control. They're a surrender to chaos. Anger often stems from frustration, insecurity, or a bruised ego, but the way you handle it defines who you are. The Stoic philosopher Epictetus taught that it's not the events themselves that disturb us, but how we interpret them. A high-value man internalizes this wisdom. Instead of reacting impulsively to frustration, he pauses, reflects, and chooses to respond with calm and reason. This ability to stay composed under pressure is what separates a leader from the rest. Picture this: a man faced with an insult, an argument, or a setback. Does he explode with rage, or does he take a deep breath, assess the situation, and respond with grace? The latter is the man women admire, the man who can stand firm without letting his emotions control him. Anger, when unchecked, makes you look weak and out of control. But when you master your emotions, you project strength, wisdom, and self-mastery. When you allow anger to rule you, you hand over the reins of your life to temporary emotions. Instead, learn to channel your frustration into something constructive. Whether it's hitting the gym, journaling, or reflecting on the root cause of your anger, Find a way to process it without lashing out. Remember, true strength is in restraint, not aggression. A high-value man knows that emotional control is the foundation of respect. Women respect men who can face conflict with poise and composure, who don't crumble under pressure, and who can handle challenges with maturity. Master your emotions, and you'll master your relationships and yourself. Constant complaining. Now let's talk about a silent killer of respect. Constant complaining. It's a habit that screams weakness and drains the energy of everyone around you. A high-value man doesn't waste time whining about his problems. He focuses on finding solutions. Complaining about life's challenges doesn't solve anything. It only highlights your sense of powerlessness. Let's face it, life is hard. It throws curveballs, tests your patience, and pushes you to your limits. But what separates men of value from everyone else is how they respond to these challenges. Marcus Aurelius, a Stoic emperor who faced wars, plagues, and betrayal, didn't waste time complaining. Instead, he turned obstacles into opportunities for growth. He famously wrote, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." Think about that for a moment. When faced with a setback, do you complain and wallow in frustration, or do you look for the lesson and adapt? A high-value man sees challenges as a chance to grow stronger. Complaining, on the other hand, only reveals that you feel powerless to change your circumstances. Women and everyone else respect men who tackle problems head-on instead of playing the victim. Complaining isn't just unattractive, it's exhausting. It drains your energy and the energy of those around you. Instead of venting about what's wrong, channel that energy into creating solutions. If you're stuck in a rut, ask yourself, what can I do to change this? How can I turn this obstacle into an advantage? These questions will shift your mindset from defeat to empowerment. A high-value man doesn't dwell on problems, he finds ways to solve them. He understands that every challenge is an opportunity to prove his resilience and strength. Women respect men who can stay optimistic, who focus on what can be done instead of what went wrong. Remember, warrior, life isn't about avoiding hardships. It's about how you rise above them. Stop complaining, start conquering, and watch how the world begins to respect you. Imagine the weight of leadership. Picture this: you're leading an empire at war. Your people are dying from a devastating plague. Personal losses hit you one after another, tearing at your heart. Most men would crumble under this pressure, drowning in bitterness or resentment. But Marcus Aurelius didn't break. Instead, he chose a path of calmness, rationality, and relentless focus on the present moment. He didn't waste time whining about the crushing burdens he carried or the unfairness of it all. He faced every challenge head-on with a steady hand and a clear mind, embodying the strength that inspires others to follow. This is what separates men of value from the rest. Respect true, lasting respect doesn't come from asking for pity or wallowing in self-doubt. It comes from responsibility and resilience. A high-value man doesn't look for excuses or seek validation through complaints. He rises above adversity, showing those around him that he has what it takes to lead, even in the darkest times. Women, especially, are drawn to this type of strength. They don't admire men who crumble at the first sign of difficulty. They respect men who face the storm with unwavering determination. Marcus Aurelius understood something profound. We can't control everything that happens to us, but we can always control how we respond. Life is unpredictable, full of pain and setbacks, but your response is your power. Stop wasting energy complaining about what you can't change. Instead, channel that energy into action. Complaining doesn't solve anything. It's a way of saying, I'm not strong enough to handle this. But the high-value man's mindset is the opposite. I will handle this. I've got this. Think about how this shift in mindset transforms everything. When you stop complaining and start taking ownership of your challenges, people notice, women notice. They see a man who isn't just surviving life, but conquering it. Complaining makes you weaker. Responsibility makes you unstoppable. Be the man who embraces the burdens, who faces obstacles with grit, and who commands respect by leading himself first. That's what makes you stand out. The poison of laziness and lack of ambition. Now let's talk about something most men don't even realize is sabotaging their potential. Laziness and lack of ambition. A man without ambition is like a ship lost at sea, drifting aimlessly without a sail, without direction, and without purpose. And let's be honest, this kind of man doesn't inspire respect. He inspires apathy. He doesn't ignite passion in anyone, especially not in women. But a high-value man is different. He is driven, focused, and relentless in his pursuit of greatness. He knows what he wants and refuses to settle for mediocrity. Laziness and complacency are poison. They erode your character and make you invisible to the world. If you're not striving for something bigger than yourself, what's the point? Women, like everyone else, can sense when a man lacks ambition. It's not attractive. It's weak. It's uninspiring. Take a moment to think about Alexander the Great. At just 20 years old, he inherited the throne of Macedonia. He could have played it safe, settling into the comforts of power. But that's not what ambition looks like. Alexander dreamed of something extraordinary. He wanted to conquer the world, and he didn't stop until he made that vision a reality. By the time he was 32, he had built one of the largest empires in history, stretching from Greece to Egypt and all the way to India. Alexander wasn't just ambitious, he was relentless. He faced rebellion, political intrigue, and physical exhaustion, but he never let those challenges break him. He pushed himself and his men beyond their limits because he understood one vital truth. Greatness requires discipline, effort, and an unshakable belief in your vision. He wasn't chasing power for its own sake. He was building a legacy that would echo through history. Now ask yourself, what's stopping you from chasing your own greatness? It doesn't have to mean conquering an empire, but it does mean refusing to settle. It means setting goals so big they scare you, and then working tirelessly to achieve them. It's about waking up every day with purpose and pushing past the limits of comfort and mediocrity. Laziness doesn't just steal your time, it steals your respect. A man who sits idle is a man who fades into the background, but a man with ambition, he's unstoppable. Women are drawn to that energy, to that drive, to that fire that says, I won't settle for anything less than my best. So stop making excuses. Stop letting laziness dictate your life. Start chasing something bigger than yourself. When you commit to ambition and action, you not only gain respect, you become the kind of man who leaves a mark on the world. That's the legacy of a high-value man. The mindset of a high-value man. Let's paint a picture. Warrior. Imagine waking up each day not with dread, not just to get by, but with a fire inside you, a clear purpose, driving your every move. That's the mindset of a high-value man. He doesn't coast through life, letting the currents drag him wherever they please. Instead, he grabs the wheel, sets the course, and drives forward with unwavering determination. But when you lack ambition, you create a life that's stagnant, lifeless, and uninspiring. You become the guy who just does the bare minimum, The man who punches the clock and spends his evenings drowning in distractions to escape the monotony. You get comfortable in mediocrity. And here's the truth. When you stop striving, you stop growing. Growth is the essence of life itself, and without it, you're not just standing still, you're moving backward. Women notice this. They see it in your lack of energy, in your complacency, and they are repelled by it. Because here's what women truly respect. A man who is constantly striving for more, a man who refuses to settle for good enough, and instead sets his sights on greatness. They admire the man who pushes boundaries, who challenges himself daily, and who seeks to elevate not just his life, but the lives of those around him. A man without ambition, he's not just coasting, he's wasting precious potential. You don't have to be perfect, but you must be purposeful. You must be relentless in your pursuit of something greater than yourself. Ask yourself, warrior, what am I doing today to move forward? What am I doing today to make tomorrow better than today? The most respected men in history, legends like Alexander the Great, Marcus Aurelius, and even modern-day visionaries didn't sit around waiting for a stroke of luck. They got up every day with the intention to conquer their challenges, to grow, and to leave a mark on the world. Women are drawn to that drive, to that energy of someone who's in motion. They respect men who don't just exist, but live with passion and purpose. So ask yourself truly, are you striving for something greater, or are you simply surviving? The answer to that question will define whether you earn the respect you seek or let life pass you by. Jealousy and possessiveness, the silent killers. Now, let's dive into one of the most toxic traits a man can carry, jealousy and possessiveness. These behaviors don't just erode your value, they destroy it completely. Why? Because jealousy is born from fear and insecurity. The fear of not being good enough. The insecurity of losing what you think is yours. It's a mindset rooted in scarcity, in the belief that if someone or something slips away, you'll be left with nothing. And make no mistake, this is not the mindset of a high-value man. A man who succumbs to jealousy isn't in control of his emotions. He lets his fears dictate his actions, turning him into someone who clings, questions, and suffocates the people around him. Women see this immediately. It signals weakness, a lack of self-assurance, and an inability to trust not just in her, but in yourself. Think about it. Do you trust yourself, warrior? Do you believe you have what it takes to stand tall, no matter what happens? A man who is confident in his worth doesn't fear losing anyone. He knows that his value doesn't depend on someone else's presence or actions. If your sense of self is tied to another person, you've handed them all your power. And that, my friend, is the most unattractive thing a man can do. Here's the reality. Women don't want a man who's scared of losing them. They want a man who gives them the freedom to be themselves while standing strong in his own identity. This freedom doesn't weaken your bond, it strengthens it. Confidence builds trust, and trust creates unshakable respect. The Stoics understood this well. Epictetus, one of the greatest Stoic philosophers, said, "Freedom is the only worthy goal in life. It is won by disregarding things that lie beyond our control." You can't control every situation, every thought someone else has, or every action they take. But you can control yourself, your mindset, your reactions, and your behavior. Life, warrior, is a battle we fight every single day. Respect doesn't come from clinging, doubting, or fearing. It comes from mastering yourself. Each habit we've discussed today is an opportunity to evolve, to strip away the traits that weaken you and replace them with ones that empower you. So here's the question. Are you ready to let go of the old you? Are you ready to embrace growth over comfort, discipline over weakness, and self-respect over fear? To live as a high-value man means making this choice every single day to rise, to push, to lead. This is your moment, warrior. The journey ahead isn't easy, but it's worth it. If you're ready to step into your power and live with purpose, drop a challenge accepted in the comments. Let the world see your commitment. And if you want to stay on this path of transformation, hit the like button, subscribe, and ring the notification bell. Growth starts now, and it starts with you.